Okay guys, so what I'm going to do here is kind of give you a quick walk through the direction I walked on the Lincoln Land Community College Foundation property when I went out there and took pictures. That way you kind of have a reference of where the pictures were taken at and which direction the pictures were taken. So what we're looking at here is the plat map. Up here is north. Okay. Let me see if I can work this. Okay, so that's supposed to be north. When I went out and walked the ground, I started right here by this building. Took some pictures. You have some pictures that are going in this direction, and then pictures going in this direction. So again, we're in this big open field here, and I started right at the edge of the building. So I walked due west along the property line, took pictures, turned straight north, and let me see if I can find a color that's going to show up better. So I went straight north. Right here is actually a washout. So this lighter green stuff here, all of this right here, that's actually grass. Everything else, that darker kind of brownish color, that's alfalfa, and you'll see pictures of that. But that grassy area, there's some slope coming towards the west, towards this little pocket of trees here. So there's a picture here. There's a bunch of gravel, and looks like somebody put in some big chunks of concrete or riprap in there. That way, as the water comes from this direction and goes downhill this way towards the woods, it doesn't tear it out as bad. But back here, there's this little drainage that runs all the way into here. That drainage is about 4 feet deep. I didn't jump down in it, but it's washed out enough where it's about 4 feet deep. A narrow channel, maybe about 2.5 feet wide, but about 4 feet deep. So then the pictures continue. I walked this direction to the corner, took some more, turned due west, and went straight down this tree line to here. Followed the tree line, go in this direction. Now as I was going due north there, there's some big trees. You guys will see the pictures. Some really big trees there. That's all kind of low bottom area that's going to be pretty wet. It's going to retain more moisture because of the topography. They have not really a road, but a cut through here where you can get equipment through. So that's flat grass. I walked through there, and then I turned due south and followed the woods this way till I got to the edge here, and then went due west again, following the edge there, all the way up to the corner, the southwest corner up here. Now what you'll notice when you're looking at this, there's different shades of color. Well, those different shades of color indicate different plants. There's a lot of slope and topography in there. That is not a flat piece of ground. So I would encourage you, highly encourage you guys, how can you get a hold of what's called a topographical map? That's a map that shows elevation. It shows little circles and rings, etc., to show elevation of a particular piece of ground. That is going to be incredibly important when you guys start thinking about restoration here. If you're trying to restore a slope versus flat ground, if you're on the side of the slope versus the bottom of the slope, all those variables make a big difference in the types of plants you can put in there and the restoration method. You can't just rip out a slope and throw seed on it because it's going to wash out as soon as you get your next big rain. So put those things into the back of your mind when you're starting to go through, well, what kind of plants, and do we do all this in one shot? Do we do parts of it? Do we do it as trees and restore the forest? Do we restore it as prairie? A mixture of both? Your decision. I want you guys to take ownership of which restoration you think would be best. Do we look at the bottom? And I didn't put this in the project, but if somebody wants to run with this, I'm more than happy to help you. Do we restore the bottom as a wetland area? Because it's not retaining water now, but when we get any kind of rain, that's going to be wet down there. And you'll notice the species of trees growing down in that bottom area where the pocket of trees are. those are trees that, as people say, they like their feet wet. That's going to be a wet area a lot of time. Okay, so I got to the southwest corner, went straight north to the corner there, took a couple pictures. You'll notice there's Center Drive right over here. Okay, so that's literally 40, 50 feet from the edge of the property. There's just a little pocket of grass in there. How would that impact that restoration? You know, we talked about stressors. Think about road traffic, and there's a couple houses right there on the corner here, the corner of the property right here. How does that impact the restoration? Okay, so I got to this, what would be the northwest corner right there, and then I followed this line. This was literally corn. Corn right up to the alfalfa. I was walking in the alfalfa, but there was 6 feet of corn, 6 feet tall corn right to my left or my north as I walked that edge of the line. I got to the woods, came back through, and then I kind of came over here, cut through here, came back over to that side, and then followed the wood line back, took a couple pictures of some different evidence of some different animals. You'll see one, there's a big dirt spot on the ground. What does that along the edge of woodland, the edge of a wood line? What rubs the ground and creates a big dirt spot? So it's hard to get a lot of pictures of the fauna because, well, they all ran away and flew away and hopped away. But I got a couple of some insects. But you look for other signs of physical evidence that these animals are going to be living there. True fauna study, we would do a lot of different things. You know, you guys, we learned about studying the aquatic system. We could take 3 weeks and do the same thing on a terrestrial system. Sweep nets and trail cameras and all sorts of things to identify what kind of animals are living on the land here. Okay, so I got to that corner again and basically followed my footsteps back to this corner and then went back to the corner of the building, and I actually was parked right there, and there's a little parking area there. So, all right, so it gives you an idea of the direction that I walked as I took the pictures. So the next thing I'm going to do is walk through the pictures, just kind of a little slideshow. Picture, 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 etc. So you guys can take a look at those pictures and then use that to help identify the producer base. So I took a picture like of the trees, the big tree, and then the next picture would be of the leaves of that tree. So you can use that to help identify which species of trees we have out there, as well as some of the flowers and some of the other things that are out there. Definitely not a comprehensive study of everything, but it gives you a pretty good idea what's on that edge of that wood line. And then think about all of the alfalfa in the pasture there, and then the grass that's actually in that waterway. All right, so let me pause here. I need to load up the pictures, and then you'll start seeing just a slideshow of the pictures. Okay, so here's the pictures, slideshow of the pictures. The first one here, I'm standing with that building to my back, and I'm looking to the east. That truck right there, that is actually going on the Curtis Blacktop. The truck is facing south. So it gives you an idea of where I'm standing. This line here, grass versus alfalfa, that is the southern property line. That goes all the way to the blacktop. Blacktop creates the east line, and then that tan up there, that's actually the corn. That would be on the north side of the property. Okay, so that's our first one there. Let's go to the next. Dunk. Okay, so now I just turned and looked completely to my left or west. That's that same line. So that grass to alfalfa is the south property line, but I'm looking to the west all the way to the corner before I turned north when I was showing you guys on that map. Okay, so notice the big bushy things here. Yep, there's your alfalfa. More alfalfa. Okay, so take a look at the big bushy thing. I want you guys to figure out, what is that? What is that plant? Is that a native? Is that an invasive? Do we leave it there? Do we rip it out and make sure it doesn't come back? Sort out what that one is. Okay, I got to that corner, look straight north. That's the edge of the wood lines. that I walked. Yep, there's your plant again. Important? Yes. Okay, some of the other plants with it. What are those yellow flowers? Yeah, and unfortunately some of the grass is all dying off this time of year because it's October, but we still can get a feel for what's living there, what's growing there. Alright, so here's some of the trees along that property line. And notice there's a fence that demarcates the foundation ground, the other side of the fence owned by somebody else. Okay, leaves, so you can identify the tree. Another big tree. There's its leaves. What kind of tree is that? Alright, so I got about halfway up. Notice the difference. Here's alfalfa. Here's grass. This is sloping, coming towards us. It's a pretty good drop in elevation there, which will be apparent on a topographical map. Alright, so now it comes down into this area here. Kind of scrubby trees and bushes. What are those things? That's a tree or a bushy plant that we want to identify. Is it good? Bad? Invasive? Native? If it's invasive, how do we get rid of it? Okay, this is the washout I was talking about. So that grass all drains into here. There's all this rock, or what we call riprap, and then it drains down into there, and that's that channel I was talking about. It's about, I said about 4 feet deep and about 2.5, 3 feet wide. So there's a serious amount of water that comes through that field right to there. So how do we address that during restoration? Okay, some other plants grown along the edge of the woods. Again, good, bad? Is it a food source for some of the animals that are out there? What do we do with this stuff? There are the leaves, the up close. They got a bunch of thorns on their stems, so I didn't want to grab them because that would be in the bad category. Alright, so more of those bushy things with the red berries. There were a lot of these, and they were pretty big. So again, you got to know what that is. That's an important plant to figure out to decide, do we leave it and enhance it, or do we have to get rid of it and keep it from coming back? Alright, so there's a big tree on that corner. That's right on that corner. If you look to the right, that's looking east. If you go to the left, that's looking west. But that's that corner. There's the corn right over there, that tan stuff, and then the green is the alfalfa. So big tree. There's the leaves of the big tree. More leaves of the same big tree. Alright, so I was at the corner. I turned and looked left. That's the length of the property line. So there's a fence right there. So you have about 15, 20 feet worth of foundation property between the alfalfa and the fence line. And it's got a bunch of trees and stuff. So as we're walking down that line, oh, actually, I'm sorry, I turned right or northeast. There's the big alfalfa field. Then I turned and started going down the line. Found this big tree. Good, bad? It's got a bunch of thorns sticking off of it. There's a better picture. So, are those good? Are they bad? What kind of tree has thorns like that? Again, native. Get rid of it. If it's native, does it provide food for animals? What's the ecological niche of that tree? Is that something we want to, again, enhance, or do we need to cut the sucker down and get rid of it? Alright, there's some leaves of the next tree. So what kind of tree is that? Alright, so now I kind of got to that about halfway along the property line. I'm at the south, about center of the property on the south side, and we have alfalfa. It's hard to tell with the picture, but notice the slope. It angles from the right down to the left. That's because of ground slopes. That wasn't me leaning or tilting with one shoe higher than the other. That's actually the slope of the ground. In a picture, it's hard to figure out grade. Is that a 2% grade, 3% grade? Again, topographical maps will help you figure that out, because the slope of the ground, or the grade, is going to tell you water flow. How fast does water run off? That will impact our restoration. Okay, I'm out of time on this video. I'm going to have another one coming up, and I'll just keep walking through more of the pictures and keep talking you through how I walk the property. So hang on and check out the next one.